and it's just really irritating. So I have to kind of wiggle around a little bit.
Well, I've not heard my name in stable or Baton Rouge in stable in the same sentence in a long time.
I titled it "A Shot Across the Bow of the Good Old Boys."
Just, they feel helpless, they don't feel heard, they have nowhere to turn.
Some Republicans as well believe that government has the answers. And let me tell y'all something. I don't know anything government does well. Nothing.
And aren't there laws that say that you have public meetings so that the public can have accountability of their elected officials?
They're making a little bit of progress, but I would definitely have to give the race to Caddo Parish right now.
I don't know. Is there anybody from Plain Dealing watching, you think?
As a member of the media, I'm very concerned about what I've just heard.
Did you or did you not requisition money to fight against this or for it?
We hired a lobbyist. It cost us $15,000. We were opposed to HB 630.
So for this week, folks, the cockroach of the week, according to Bossier Watch and Duke Lowry and Rex Moncrief, is
Raymond Cruz legislative assistant, Allie Feaster-Smith. Thank you, Allie. Well, I'm not thinking Star Wars at all. I'm thinking zombie apocalypse. No way. It was not David. You know it wasn't David Montgomery. David ain't going to jump off in there with Chris. He ain't going to do it. He'd as soon spit on him as he would even look at him. Man, this is a Mickey D's Krispy Kreme week. Didn't you know? Who's paying y'all? And if you're driving on the roads, are you safe?
It's on the road, yeah.
Well, I know you're on the road, but I mean, is this all folks coming from the border down there?
Yeah, it's going to border. It's actually going to Mexico, the buses.
doesn't mean they interpret it the same way that I do. For instance, the Second Amendment. I take it very literally. That's been interpreted different ways in the court system all the way up to SCOTUS. Yeah, that's only going to cause more division that he claims he doesn't want to cause. And it's only going to cause more suspicion. We're still right now combined on both pages and YouTube at 264 people watching. That is amazing. Bo Coleman Project, the Walker Place deal, through conscious, shocking actions. The purpose of their actions was to stop plaintiffs, being the Earl Coleman and associated groups and all that, from developing Walker Place. But here's the key thing, which in turn would enrich sitting city council members Scott Irwin and David Montgomery Jr.
You hit the button, does that mean that people are seeing us sitting here talking, chatting?
In theory, it's an every week thing. We got to double check and make sure it's on the merit of any of this actually works. This live broadcast is brought to you by the Outdoor News, fishing and outdoors for our area. Acadiana Mortgage, over 25 years in the mortgage business. Pelican Training and Consulting. Reach out to Julie Ferris. Smarter Geek, making technology easier. And folks sharing information and watching out. Now, grab your popcorn and a drink. Here we go. Well, Mr. Lau.
Here we go.
I actually did the full countdown this time. We changed the format up just a little bit because we had decided to jump right into our guest who is waiting in the green room over there. So
now, do we want to, before we bring him straight in, do we want to kind of set this up a little bit?
Yeah, let's set it up for a minute, and then Kyle, just hang out over there, and we'll bring you in here in a minute.
So, I see Miranda Dunn. She says popcorn is ready.
Get the drinks ready.
Yeah, the drinks is probably what needs to be getting ready. But, I mean, look, we this show, it is about informing the public. It's about the things that you may or may not hear regarding what goes on in your local politics. And, but from my perspective, the goal is to, ultimately at the end of the day, have better government, have better government for all of our community and everybody. And that's not always pretty.
Well, and we've said from the beginning that, we're going to hold everybody accountable. And we only bring up topics about people that are either A, politicians, or B, bureaucrats, or C, politically connected, and there's some extraordinary reason why we would bring up the topics. Look, if somebody's a lawyer and they want to say really dumb stuff, we don't really care. But when they're doing it acting as an agent of the government, well, that's a whole different ballgame.
It is a whole different ball game, and we don't advocate that we are right all the time. We don't, advocate that we don't make mistakes. We coin ourselves as amateur journalists, and at the end of the day, I just within the last hour was on the phone with somebody, and I made a post on my personal Facebook page, and I said that the truth is like a lion. Set it free and it'll defend itself. And I believe that. I believe that's what we do on the show is we throw it out there to the best of our understanding we perceive it. Doesn't mean we're 100% right, but if it is the truth, it's going to withstand the light of day, and if it's not the truth, it's not going to withstand the light of the day. But either way, it's going to be out there.
Well, and one more thing. There have been a few occasions where we've been wrong. I don't like to admit when I'm wrong, but I will do it begrudgingly. And we've come back and corrected that. But most of the time, if we throw something out there, then we have enough trust in what we say or allude to that it has a reasonable chance of being correct. Let me put it that way. In other words, we don't just throw bombs for the heck of it.
No, because there is a consequence for doing what we do. I mean, I can tell you, I believe that my personal business suffers as a result of what we do, and that's fine. I know that going into it. That's just the way it is. If people don't want to do business because they're scared and they're fearful, that's their problem. That's not my problem. That's their
Right.
problem.
Right.
I'm going to figure out a way to make it. I'm going to figure out a way to eat. But what I would say is the subject matter and the guest tonight. we've been we've been calling a spade in this case for a while,
Right.
and I have been articulating that somebody's desire is to silence any opposition for some time. That if you don't agree with this person or you speak against what they believe or whatever, that their whole goal is to silence you, shut you down, and they would just assume as an elected official to not have to hear your side of the story and not have to listen to you at all. In fact, they're a person who is the first person to jump up wanting to limit speech of the public at open meetings.
Well, look, I'll put it this way. So, I've termed her the petulant little princess, the princess. And look, personally, Juliana may be an upstanding, fine citizen. I've not had to deal with her personally, thank goodness. But I can just tell you politically, she's a petulant little child and a petulant little princess. That's just the only way I can put it. So we mean all of this in a political manner. That's it.
And I've said it, and I will say it again. With all of the multiple different cases that involving her and things that we have pointed out, I don't feel like she is fit to serve. And she has a lot, and something a little more troubling. She has a lot of friends that defend her to the end without even giving consideration to what she says and what is actually the case.
Right.
Because multiple times we've shown out, just case in point, the library. She said, if y'all had seen what books and what was in, you would have agreed we needed to take it over. And what did we do? We went to the library and found, I think it was 8 or 9 of the top 10 worst rated books for kids. They were there for
Fully
you to go
accessible.
rent. Fully accessible. So anyway,
With all that said, we're going to let Kyle share his version of it. We haven't prompted him
No.
with anything to say. He knows the rule though that it's live, so no
So
takebacks.
who is Kyle Schuldt?
Yeah.
Why is this person? What's the significance of this person, Rex? A lot of people may or may not know.
Well, interestingly, let me put it this way: at Tuesday's city council meeting, which they finally posted the now 2 versions of it, but that's a whole other story. Kyle was sitting, he and his wife were sitting beside me, and they introduced themselves, but I was kind of in the middle of focused on the meeting, and I didn't realize, at that time what was going to happen. And I don't think we'll let him answer. I don't think at that point he knew that he was about to be fired and all this snowball was about to go. And I've got to say, he and I stood up at the same time to go talk. And he was like, oh, no, 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 you go right ahead and let me go in front of him. And I knew right then, I was like, oh, that's a pretty cool guy. Well, little did I know, well, we're going to have him on here in just about 20 or 30 seconds to explain what transpired on that fateful Tuesday when Juliana showed her little princess rear end multiple times. So,
All right. Let's bring him
on?
in. Yep, because I ain't never met this cat. I want to get to know who this guy is. So,
Kyle, can
Kyle
you hear
Schuldt,
us?
Duke Lowry. How are you?
Duke, how you doing, sir? Pleasure to meet you, sir.
Nice to meet you. So,
All
Rex, start us out.
Yeah, so I'm sure by now most everybody has seen or at least seen the highlights or the news coverage of the Charter Commission circus meeting. I think that was Monday night. And then, of course, Tuesday we had the city council meeting, and that was a whole other charade of sorts. In between that, Kyle, I'll let you plug in the details, but in between that, there was apparently an email sent to the princess, and she didn't like it. So, Kyle, I'll let you introduce yourself and just take it from there.
Well, good evening, guys. I just want to start out by saying, first off, I thank you all for the opportunity to just tell my half of the story, and I appreciate your listeners for taking the time to just step aside and listen to what we've got going on here in Bossier. Just real quickly about me, I'm 29 years old. I'm married, happily married. My wife and I have a little boy that's 3, and then we're also expecting a little girl in October. I have lived and worked in this area my entire life. I graduated from Maryland High School. I got my undergraduate degree in finance and economics from LSUS. And I'm currently continuing my education through an MBA program there as well. I've spent a lot of time serving the local community, and I say that with a humble heart because I've done it in various capacities. One of the main ways I've done that is I've spent almost the last 10 years of my life serving in the Louisiana Army National Guard. There's a lot of our community members who serve privately, and not many people know who they are or what they do. So shout out to those guys and gals that do that. But in 2020 and 2021, I deployed with the 256 Brigade Combat Team in support of Operation Inherent Resolve in Syria, Jordan, and Iraq as 11 Bravo infantrymen. And I think I told you guys before, but this flag behind me is actually I flew it in Syria while I was on patrol. And I know I've got some guys watching in the unit, so I appreciate everybody that's showing support. So yeah, that's
Awesome.
kind of me.
All right, so you've given us a little background. Let's start with, we'll kind of take it from, I guess, this weekend you're happily employed as well as you said happily being married, and congrats on the baby on the way. And again, thank you for serving as well and all your friends. So take it from the point you're happily employed, happily married, everything's going great to where we are now. Give us the summary version because I've got screenshots to show that we'll get to as we delve into the details of all this.
Gotcha. So really this all kicked off for me Monday evening. I spent a little time watching the fiasco that took place on, for the Charter Review Commission Monday evening, specifically with our mutual and good friend Wes Marriott as he got up to speak his piece and just kind of share what some of his thoughts were after he was basically shouted down and as disrespected for having an opinion, and it was somehow tied to whether or not he was living inside of or paying taxes in the city limits. And I want you guys to know Wes Marriott, he is an amazing American. He has served in the military. He's served the citizens of Bossier as a police officer. And so I perceive him as a peer. And to see somebody like that with a similar experience as me, who has personally served to defend the right that a certain individual just so rampantly tramples upon, just really struck a chord with me. And so I witnessed that, went to bed Monday evening, went to work Monday, and I fired off an email from a private email address that I own that was not associated with my work in any way, shape, or form. And I'll admit, it was a very stern criticism, but it was a criticism of a local official. And we did not know, or excuse me, I did not know at the time, she would publish this email on her private Facebook page in an attempt to basically belittle my viewpoint and fellow constituents of hers that share similar views with me. So as a result of this, obviously my email expressed a little bit of displeasure with her performance, and she ended up subsequently posting that invited clear retribution. And ultimately, her post and her commentary have affected my position with the Bossier Chamber of Commerce as a diplomat, and with my job at Citizens Bank and Trust. I will admit to everyone that's listening and watching, my remarks could have certainly been more professional and more tactful. But using my First Amendment right, which, by the way, I've personally defended along with other people on the show that are watching, she took this as an attempt to damage my name and reputation as a local business owner. My wife and I own businesses in this town and pay taxes, as a local veteran, and somebody who also has given quite a bit of time through various organizations like the Bossier Chamber Diplomats to serve our local community and give back, and try to do something good for Bossier, not just stand on something that looks great for a picture, but actually do something for people that matter.
Right. So I want to make clear, and Duke, fire away whenever you're ready, and we'll go to screenshots and all that. But I want to make clear, or get you to make clear, that you did not post your email on social media. You sent it to her just as a direct private email, correct?
Yeah, so you're absolutely correct. So I sent it to her privately from a private email domain that I have. I personally don't have any social media other than LinkedIn.
Right.
I did not share this with anyone. My wife did not even know at the time I sent this email. She was the one that called me and notified me that someone had shared with her that Juliana Parks posted the email with my name and its contents on her Facebook page. And I will like to add for your listeners, she did not post the Facebook or make the Facebook post to where the public could see it.
Yeah, it was friends or friends of friends or something. Yeah, but all right, so here's my contention, and you don't have to, answer or address any of this, but here's my contention. She knew what she was doing. Even though you look, I got a rule on social media. I don't put anything on social media that I wouldn't go put on a billboard.
Now, Rex, her friends would say she has come out publicly and she has said that she did not intentionally put it out there with the intent of trying to get Kyle fired or to get Kyle kicked out of being able to serve in a volunteer capacity. That's what she has said.
Well, she says a lot of things, Duke, and we see how that turns out.
I know that she does, but I want all the viewers to know that, of course, now that's what she's saying. Kyle, from your position, she's an attorney. She, in my opinion, I saw the Facebook post. I had a lot of people send it to me, and my opinion was that she was trying to start a dialogue on it to cause problems for you, and that's my opinion. What is your opinion?
So just to be fair, I'm not an attorney, But I will tell you, it doesn't take an attorney or a law degree to understand the law or people's intentions with the things that they do, because everything you don't say is just as visible and loud as what you do say. And so for her, I can't speak for what her thoughts were or what she was intending to do at that point in time, but I can tell you what the immediate reactions were from the people within her sphere of influence. And I can tell you that with how quickly everything was reacted upon me, the people that are watching, the people who listen to this, can determine for themselves whether or not they think it adds up or not.
All right, so I got to admit, I don't have a full copy of the email for the screenshot. I'm going to show her post here in a second. Kyle, do you have the email handy that you can read here in a minute? And do you mind reading it?
No, I don't mind reading it at all.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to switch screens, so hang with me here just a second. And this screen, it may be hard for some of you to see, if you're watching on your phones. I get it. So, we're going to kind of, do our normal thing and read along. But this is a screenshot of Juliana's post. And like Kyle said, you can clearly see up here that she did not have it public. She's either got his friends or friends of friends. I don't know, because she, of course, has me blocked, but who cares? But she knows what she's doing here. And so she posted this, and I'll read Juliana's part. And then, Kyle, I want to get you, if you don't mind, to read the actual email that you sent. So Juliana said in her post, this is so not, I can't even read it in my Brady Bunch Marcia voice. But anyway.
Give it a try.
This is so nice. I wish I knew what personal gain I received. Still waiting.
I can answer. Pick me. Go ahead. Finish.
It's for stating the fact that term limits take away the rights of voters to elect who they want, and the fact that voters can implement term limits every 4 years when they go to the polls. I can't do this with a straight face, as they often do. Does that mean I wouldn't vote for term limits if someone could convince me that the benefits outweigh the detriment? No. But instead of making a sound argument, I get this, for using my own brain for rational thought. Rational like she did, and we all saw on full display Monday night. All right. Kyle, you're up. If you don't mind, go ahead and read us the email that you sent.
Absolutely. So I said, I'm quoting directly from the email. I'm referring back to what I sent. So, good afternoon, ma'am. Can you please carry your overdramatic, useless, lackey self out of this city? You are the physical embodiment of all that is wrong with this country. You use your positions of power and quote public service for personal gain. Shame on you. The tide is going to be turning against folks like you. And the only good thing about you is that you aren't intelligent enough to think for yourself, so you are the pawn for someone else. Sincerely, Kyle Schuldt.
Well, that's not nearly as bad as some of the stuff we say every Tuesday night.
Good gosh. If I can only imagine if I'd have tried to send an email like that, that right there would have been like sending a dozen roses to her.
Oh, good thing we're self-employed, Duke. But she would have already tried to have us fired long ago. All right. So go ahead.
Well, I've had several people try to say to me, were you trying to disparage her as a woman? And I'm curious about the people in the comments, the ladies in watching the show. Do y'all feel that he was, this is a live show and he's right here in the middle of the show willing to take it. If the majority of all of you think he was trying to disparage her for being a woman, by all means say it. I think he's a big boy, will take it. And if you majority of you thought that, I think he would even apologize. But I didn't read it that way. But I've had countless people who are, I'll say, Team Park say that, it's a woman thing. And I think that's utter bull crap.
Well, most of this, look, especially with our commentary, I don't care if she's man, woman, whatever, these days, whatever pronoun people use, I don't really care. We've picked on a lot of people, men and women, and whatever genders they may be. So it's not a gender thing at all. And look, Judy Stewart, she said Rex called her the C word. We see how much, again, of a petulant little princess she is, because she tried to use a commonly used expression in the Urban Dictionary to make it all about her. It's always about Juliana, Marcia from the Brady Bunch.
Well, no, it is a political ploy to appeal to voters to feign being the victim. It's always being the victim. And Jeff Sadow, in his most recent article, is probably right. In this case, she's not using race, but she's using gender. And she goes to gender frequently to try to defend herself and play the victim.
Well, look,
But
I gotta say this one thing, Miss Ann Price. I think she cut it to the chase. And folks, if you don't like slight curse words, hold your ears or have children in the back. But Miss Ann says, no, it's an ass thing. she's just an ass. All right. Sorry, Kyle. Okay.
we get off on rabbit trails every now and then.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. All right. So I'm gonna
just continue on with how the rest of Tuesday morning and afternoon played out.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm going to be putting some screenshots up while you're doing that, so just go right ahead.
And I'm also going to speak to what you guys talked about towards the end of my commentary on how things played out on the picking on her, supposed picking on her, saying what I said because she's a woman and not because she's a man. But just prefacing all of this with what I'm getting ready to say, I want to say thank you to the Bossier Chamber of Commerce and the diplomat program, because yes, the way they dismissed me was not savory. But I will tell you that I made lots of great connections through the Bossier Chamber program. I had the opportunity to be there when a lot of local small businesses started and continued to celebrate multiple anniversaries in our area. And then for my previous employer, Citizens Bank and Trust, I had an opportunity to learn quite a bit while I was there. And I know that the bank has a huge heart for the community as well as Benton. And they take great care of their customers. But, some people are just far more afraid of the repercussions for standing up for what they believe in. So it's just easier to be quiet. But anyways, continuing on. So what happened, so I sent that email, and then I was on a phone meeting with somebody, and then I get a phone call from an individual from the Bossier Chamber of Commerce, and it's someone I'm very familiar with and speak with quite frequently. And I didn't get to answer because I was on the phone, and so I quickly just texted her while I was on the phone call still, and just said, "Hey, I'll call you back shortly." And that was that. And my phone call ended, and then I was getting up. It slipped my mind. I got up and I started traveling over to the Bossier City Council meeting on Tuesday afternoon. And I get there and I take my position, and I look over and I see Charlotte Matsugamba, who's the lady that I'm referring to. She's there, and I go over to say hello because at this point I'm still oblivious to the fact that I was just dismissed from the Bossier Chamber diplomats. But I go up to her, which you were sitting directly in front of her. And I said, "Hey, Charlotte, I'm so sorry I missed your call earlier. What's up?" And she just immediately looks at me and she says, on behalf of Lisa Johnson, well, first she says, "Did you not get my voicemail?" And I said, "No, I didn't." Which she did leave me a voicemail because after the meeting I checked, but just with the timing of everything, I didn't see it. So at the time I was still oblivious, and I said, "No, I didn't." And she says, "Well, on behalf of Lisa Johnson, I've got to inform you that you're no longer a diplomat because of some political commentary you made via email to a local elected official." And I said, "Okay." And then I proceeded to tell her, "Well, I would never expect the Bossier Chamber of Commerce to want to be associated with somebody who verbalizes pushback against the people who represent the very system that does harm to us on a daily basis." And I turned around and then I walked off, and I realized, man, I shouldn't walk off and be afraid. And I just came and sat back down. So, that was it. And then in the process of that meeting, I was asked by my employer to come back to the office. And then I drive back down the road to go to my office, and I step into my boss's office, and he calls someone in from the office, I guess, as a witness. But he sits me down and he says, and mind you, this is not even really 3 hours after I was first made aware about this whole email situation from my wife and how Juliana posted it. I sit down, and my boss looks at me and he says, "You're no longer a good fit for this company and its culture. I think you're going to have a wildly successful career. It's just not going to be here."
Wow.
And so that was basically it. Got up and just gathered what little bit I had on my desk, turned the keys in, and left. And so here we are. And also, real quick, I don't mean to keep dragging on, but speaking to the point about me being so brave to say this because Juliana's a woman, I'm going to tell you this: no one can no longer claim that we live in an unequal society in America. We live in a land where all views are accepted regardless of extreme. Juliana's a woman, or excuse me, she's a woman. She's an attorney, and she is well connected on all fronts. So someone has bankrolled her rise to infamous glory in this town and provided this cradle of privilege that she has and lavishes in on a daily basis. So common people are truly just tired of being trampled on by individuals like this that bully those who don't agree with what she says. And so the day, in my opinion, has arrived, and that day is today, where people in this city, Bossier City specifically, and it speaks to a larger consensus of how we feel things in this nation, can see right to the bottom of the bullshit.
Look, I couldn't say it any better. I've got the voicemail to play, so you want to hold your thought and we'll listen to the voicemail. All right, Duke, you got a comment or?
I might need to go get another. I might need to go get another drink.
I know I'm getting a little empty. I might have to switch the sweet tea to a little stronger or something.
I want to hear
or something.
I want to hear this voicemail. I do have a couple of questions for Kyle, but man, I want to hear this voicemail. Let's go.
All right, well, give me a second. Let me do the little button clickery here. Let me make sure I've got Kyle's picture up there before I take it live. All right, here.
So Kyle, you were informed by the chamber that you're no longer a diplomat before you were told you were let go at your job.
Absolutely. I was sitting in the Bossier City Council chambers, when I received a Teams message from my boss telling me to come back to the office. So, one can put two and two together at that point.
Let me ask you a question. Let me stop you. I want to ask you a question. So you're in the military and you swore an oath to, protect and defend the Constitution, which includes freedom of speech and, the rights, all the rights to redress your grievances with your government, the whole big enchilada. And I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't do this, but I'm kind of sitting here saying that I'm thinking to myself, and you were way kinder than what I would be to your former employer and to the Bossier Chamber of Commerce. And they're basically saying, piss on all that. And you're sitting here being and I'm not trying to prompt you, but I'm just trying to make a point for people to frame this for people watching the show. I got to tell you, that gives me indigestion. How are you so cool about this?
So I frame it I'll pose it to you like this. I've been to the places where democracy doesn't exist, and I've seen the effects that it has on the people that live under that tyranny, specifically in places like southwestern Syria, Iraq. And those people don't have the ability to speak and say things that we say and have the right to say. And so when you serve at the consent of the governed, people have the right to tell you the truth, irregardless of how you feel about it. And so for me, this just really hit home with everything I feel like I've served to protect. And, I want to say something else too. Like, Juliana is a human being. She's not perfect. She has a family. She has a husband, children. All of these people depend on her and love her and care for her, just like I have the same support system. But at the end of the day, your position of authority that you've sworn to uphold and use as a position to serve the people, when your actions go against that and people identify that for you and it becomes a problem, you got your hand caught in a cookie jar and now you're screaming that you got caught.
Well stated. Well stated. All right, here we go. The infamous voicemail.
Hey, Kyle, this is Charlotte Messigumba, as you know, the Bossier Chamber. I am calling to inform you that you will be dismissed from the diplomat program for the rest of the year due to some political information that you had stated in an email and then was brought out to the public, and the Bossier Chamber diplomat name was brought in. And as you know, we don't pick sides or state our political views on that. So it is from Lisa Johnson that I must tell you you are dismissed. I hope everything works out for you, and have a great day.
Hey, so I got a couple of questions there. Whoops, let me get the right screen back. So, explain to me how this Bossier Chamber Diplomats program works. Is it like a separate division of the chamber? How does this work? And what does it do?
So here's how it works. Obviously, the diplomats are a representation or just kind of an offshoot of the Bossier Chamber of Commerce, but everybody that's within this program applies on a yearly basis, and you're basically, everyone who applies basically gets accepted. You pay like a $25 fee, and you have a document that you give to your employer that basically they sign that acknowledges that you're going to be spending time on behalf of your employer, doing things for the Bossier Chamber of Commerce as well as local businesses. So I've been doing this. I got with Citizens Bank and Trust in April of last year, and this has been something that I've done from day one, because as a banker, as a lender, especially as a community banker and lender, one of the primary ways you develop business is by building relationships. So the diplomat program was a way I did that. And so since then, I have been actively involved with them until Tuesday, obviously. And I have given lots of time on behalf of my employer and myself, both during 8 to 5 hours and after hours, volunteering, cutting ribbons, showing support for business owners that come from out of town and invest their money here locally, and have not had any issues until Tuesday. And so, I want to point out as well, the Bossier Chamber of Commerce gave me the Scott Croft Eternal Spirit Award last year. And that's basically just a representation of someone they say is just dedicated to supporting local businesses in our community. And I have no problem saying that, because I can prove and show that I have spent quite a bit of time giving back to my community with this organization and multiple others on a volunteer basis.
All right, so go ahead.
Go ahead, Rick.
Well, all right, so here's the next question. So, a couple of questions in one. It's not a paid position.
Correct.
Okay, and then the second thing is Lisa Johnson, as I don't know what her official position is. Is she still president of the chamber? What's her official title?
I think Grand Poopah.
Anyway, she's the overarching overlord of the Bossier Chamber, and thus the Bossier Chamber diplomats. She didn't even have the gall to call you herself?
That's correct. And as you can see by the voicemail and the transcript, she had somebody reach out on her behalf and relay that information to me. And I will tell you, times Lisa Johnson has reported through other channels her appreciation for the amount of time I've spent calling on local businesses on behalf of the Bossier Chamber and thanking them for their continued paid membership for the Bossier Chamber on an annual basis.
Lisa, I'm not supporting you for mayor now.
Well, and I want to be careful here because I mean I don't want. I mean I can tell that you're not. I mean I can tell that you're not wanting to. Yeah, I don't feel like you've got these just hard feelings. I feel like you kind
Not at
of.
all.
I feel like you kind of feel like that. Hey, you recognize you were at a crossroads, and you felt like that speaking up and saying, what your convictions were was more important than anything else. I mean, am I reading this right?
So I'll tell you this: Juliana Parks has never been to a place where she has seen where democracy doesn't exist, and she lives in a place where it does, and yet she still uses and wields her position on the record to openly disrespect members of the military and the community that pay taxes. Are you
Yeah.
kidding me? As Tucker Carlson would say, what is that? What is that?
So a lot of people, the diplomats, y'all are volunteer. It's a volunteer group, and they do a lot of work. I mean, I will tell you, I'm familiar with the chamber, and the diplomats are the backbone, in my opinion, of the chamber. They're the ones, they volunteer a ton of their time. You don't see a lot of the board members. You see the diplomats are out there making things happen. They don't get enough credit. But what I want to focus on, when you became a diplomat, you said just a minute ago, you said you have an application, right?
Yep.
Rex, and you have it. Queuing Rex. Hello, co-host.
Yeah, I was sitting here reading the comments.
So
Let me find it.
And Kyle, I'm being coy here. I already know the answer to the question that I'm asking and where I'm going with this here. I went on the chamber website and I pulled up the application to become a diplomat. And and I'm struggling to find where it says that you to volunteer to be a part of the chamber, that you can't have an opinion on, anything or elected officials or where does it say that you agree to that? Because I can't find it.
So let's address that really quick. For me, that's an easy one, and I'll tell you why. So the Bossier Chamber, through Lisa Johnson has stated they don't get involved in politics or they don't make political positions or things like that, especially as diplomats. Well, I'm going to call that a lie because number one, Lisa Johnson through the Bossier Chamber hosts the mayor's golf tournament on an annual basis. Every city council meeting, just about every city council meeting, the lady who leaves me a voicemail on behalf of Lisa Johnson, letting me know I'm no longer a diplomat or someone within her office is present at a city council meeting. Now, whether or not she's voicing her opinion, that's fine, but she's still a representative of Lisa Johnson at this meeting. And then, and for all your listeners who may have forgotten, in 2019, Lisa Johnson and the Bossier Chamber of Commerce very publicly supported the pushback against millage increases on property taxes for taxpayers who own property within the Bossier city limits. So I don't want to hear that this is not political or we don't take political stances, because what it is we'll take stances when it's convenient for us, not for some.
Yeah, and look, I can speak to the 2019 tax deal because I got a little pissy about it because we were the ones literally leading that charge, and the chamber and Lisa specifically, and I like Lisa, she's nice. I mean, we get along fine if we see each other in public, but they're the Johnny come latelys on the deal because they weren't sure which way it was going to go and were they going to get bruised in it or not. And I don't fault her for that. The chamber is a private organization. They're a business too. They got to make money and do the things that they do. I get it. But still, I agree that it is a little bit hypocritical.
So, Kyle, I mean, so do you think? I mean, does anyone Okay, so listen, we do this social media show, and I think we talk about Juliana every week, and for a while anyway. So, and my personal business is a member of the chamber. So, does this mean that I can't volunteer for the chamber because I publicly espouse my opinion of elected officials and whether I believe that they are doing a good job or not doing a good job. If I'm reading the tea leaves here, if you're a business owner and or you're an individual that has an opinion on politics and you publicly state it, you can't be a part of the chamber. I mean,
But you can damn sure pay them and they'll take your money.
I don't want to put words in your mouth, and I'm not trying to promote you into another fight. I mean, you've had enough already and you've suffered enough already. But I mean, am I reading it correctly? If I want to go become a diplomat, probably that's not going to happen because I have an opinion politically on people.
I'm a big fan of letting people's actions just speak louder than their words. And I think, given the situation and the evidence you guys seen, I'll just allow Lisa Johnson and her actions in the chamber and those who dissociated themselves with me to speak for themselves. I don't feel like I need to give any comment to that because they've already done enough.
Fair enough.
Fair enough.
Let me ask you this. In an ideal situation, what would you like to see happen now to either your former employer, to the chamber, to Juliana, and to yourself and your family? I mean, what's the roadmap from here? Do you have any idea?
First and foremost, there's a lot of people probably watching tonight that are friends and family. Those that have given me support, I just want to say thank you, because there's been people even within my inner circle that have asked me, what am I thinking? What am I doing? You have a family to feed, you've got a baby on the way. Well, we live in a time where weak men and weak women have created hard times for so many of us. And if all it takes is for one person to just speak up and say the truth, think about how much more would change if more than me just spoke up and said something. I'm just one of many. People like Juliana Parks would have you believe that, I represent a very small, core knit extremist group of people. But in reality, we're the majority. People like you and I and your listeners here that are tuned in tonight. Specifically, I don't want anything to happen poorly to anyone. Juliana can make her own decisions and her actions can speak for herself. She's a grown woman. She has a family to support. I don't want anything negative to happen to her. We're all human beings. Again, we all make mistakes and have made mistakes and will continue to make mistakes. But one arena I don't feel you should be making too many mistakes in is the arena where you have control over the decisions of how taxpayers' dollars are spent. And when you sway to the left or the right of what represents the true will of the people, you become the antithesis of what that flag back there stands for. So with regards to how I want them to end up, they'll take care of themselves. With the same respect to the chamber, I have no hard feelings for either of them. If I saw either of them in public, I would have nothing negative to say to either one of them, including previous employers or anyone associated with them. But at the end of the day, my family and I are on the same page. I come from a family of veterans. My father-in-law spent 20 years in the Air Force. He served. He understands all this. I'm not going to back down and have someone try to instill a spirit of fear in me just because they don't like the truth. So going forward, I will tell, your listeners in the last 48 hours, I've received multiple job offers from multiple supportive sources. And for every single one of you that may be watching that have been one of those people, my wife and I and my son and my soon to be daughter, we're grateful to you and we appreciate the support. So, there's not a minority of people that are involved in this. This is truly not a partisan issue either. This is not about Democrat or Republican or black or white, or if you live in Shady Grove or if you pay more taxes in North Bossier. This is about people representing a system that don't make decisions that are in the best interest of our current and future generations of Bossier City. And I can point to at least 3 examples if you guys would like that refers to that. We'll get to that.
Well, look, the good thing about this is we have all night if you'd like to. So,
well,
I don't want to keep everybody all night, but you know.
Well, I I got to tell you, you have motivated me, and I feel like I've got a fire in my belly just based off of your words. That it's uplifting to me. It makes me want to do more, and I don't want to drag you down anymore into what I want to say, because I have some things to say that are not nice, and you're a better man than me. That's what I'm going to say.
Look, if you guys don't mind, there's another point that's really important here that I feel like needs to be addressed. So there was a specific individual, and I'm not going to name the name, but within Juliana's post that made commentary about how I potentially could pose a physical threat of violence towards Juliana and her family. And Juliana commented back that she agrees. So how I'm going to tell everyone here, your listeners, I have no interest in anything other than a peaceful transition of power for any role, local, state level, or federal. She is a woman with a family and people that care about her. I would never want anything terrible to happen to her. And that's one of the reasons why I have that flag hanging back there and why I signed up to be in the military, is so I could go when others don't need to. And so for someone to insinuate that I represent a threat of violence to her and her family, not only is ignorant, but it's super inflammatory and it's defamatory to my reputation and my position in this community. So I would encourage any of those people that may be watching that are considering making more of those remarks to think about those things with the context that I'm giving you of the person that I am before you make comments like that.
Well, let me go ahead and do this. So, while we've still got you on the hook here. So, I'm going to do something that I have not done in a long time. I'm going to share an article out from Bossier Now. And as our listeners can remember, Hal Bundrick got mad at us one time for calling him out and said, and I quote, "You're dead to me." But he did a great job on this article. And so I'm going to share it out, and I would encourage everybody to go over to Bossier Now and read some of his stuff, because this one in particular was very good. So all credit due to Hal Bundrick and the work of Wes Marriott, too, by sending out the press releases. All right, so first page here is, the title of his article is Bossier City Man says he was fired after sending out an email to a local official. We're not going to go through all of this because we've pretty much covered that. But just piggybacking off of what you just shared with us, Kyle, I want you to see that after receiving the email, this is on down into his article, as often is the case, let me find my place here. As often is the case, social media fuels the fire of hateful opinions. Her friends posted bitter comments, blah, blah, blah. They discovered that he was a diplomat for the Bossier Chamber of Commerce, and one of Parks's Facebook friends said, "Surely this isn't the type of you want representing your organization and community." He makes, quote, "He makes me a little worried for your well-being," another Facebook post said. "He could be dangerous enough to try and harm you. Be careful." They got all that from your damn email? I mean,
they must be way better interpreting foolishness than I thought. But I mean, I have no idea how they could gather that from my email. And again, given the context of who I am as a person tonight, and for your listeners, I hope she feels really bad about what she says, because you've literally attempted to tarnish the reputation of a local veteran, business owner, and taxpayer because you don't like what they had to say.
Well, let me put this into context for everybody watching. I've shared this multiple times. I won't go into the details, but Duke and I on a regular basis have said plenty of things about Juliana. I fire up the cartoon factory and have labeled her the little princess. And she's got the gall to come up to me in the parking lot after one of the meetings, and luckily there were witnesses there, and come at me. Now, if she was really truly worried about her well-being, or her friends were, that's BS, because she has no problem coming up to folks in a parking lot after dark. So they just need to get out of there with that. Quit playing the victim card on the part of Juliana. She is not the victim. All right. I've said my piece.
I don't know what else can be said. Kyle, I'll be honest with you, Kyle. I'm ready for you to leave because I want to let loose on all of this, and I don't want you to be a part of it because, as some of the folks in our comments, one person said, brother, you have more class in your little finger than most people have in their whole body, and I want to let a few things rip, but I don't want it to tarnish you. So
Well,
and
look,
I'll take the licks for, and I can be the bad guy. I don't want you to be a part of that because you are a class act. You're the type people that we need in society, and any business that would let you go because you are not to their standards. I got to tell you, it's not their standards that are superior. It's your standards that are superior, and you've got my total respect, my friend.
well, look, if you don't mind, I'll just kind of share my last and final thoughts on it. We'll just go from there. But this all goes back to term limits and this very visible backroom fight to deny the taxpayers and the voters of Bossier City and Bossier Parish from being able to vote on refreshing faces in government on a regular basis. I'm going to counter you with Juliana and her supporters' argument. Well, if you just wanted someone different, go vote them out. Well, first off, let me throw this at you. Given the integrity or the lack of integrity that we all know exists or does not exist within our local, state, and federal election system, you can counter that by putting term limits in place and requiring new faces every so often. So Juliana, she may go get 300, 400, 500 votes in the north end of the parish for some of her closest and her wealthiest friends. That's not hard to do when you can go on Facebook and just tell your own version of reality, and people see your name and must associate it with the truth. So this is about making sure there's accountability at all levels of government. I personally don't feel I have a large effect on national and state level governmental issues, but one thing that all of us can have an effect on is our local elections and our local officials, because these are the people that you see at church, these are the people you see in the grocery store, and these are the people that claim to live and work with you in the same community as you. But at the end of the day, they're taking your hard-earned paycheck and the money that you give to them, and they are spending it on things like, I don't know, a $500,000 tower of a man who is supposedly extremely important to Bossier Parish to tower over a traffic circle. My thoughts on that are, if we can spend $500,000 on a statue for Walt Bigby, well, why? Let me read you guys a couple of names from Bossier City, and you tell me if this rings a bell for you. One of them is going to be Trey Hutchinson. I don't know if that rings a bell.
I knew Trey.
There's people like Trey. Yeah, so there's people like Trey Hutchinson. There's people like Juliana V. Atkins, who is a female in 2005 who was blown up by a roadside bomb in Baghdad, Iraq, and she was from Bossier. There's people like Craig Nelson, Bernard Sibley II, Michael Garcia. There's many others that you can go out there and see that gave the ultimate price for what? So someone like Juliana Parks can shout down West Mario because he may or may not live in the city limits, and his opinion is somehow stifling to the agenda that her and her people have. That's absolutely unacceptable. So how about we spend money recognizing the people that give us the right to say the things that we want to say, whether you're Juliana or whether you're me, because at the end of the day, she still has the right to say what she wants to say, but there's still repercussions for it. Another example would be we've spent tens of millions of dollars on an elevated road surface from downtown Bossier to help traffic move into North Bossier, named for the same gentleman we spent $500,000 of tax money to build a statue of. Mr. Bigby was an important gentleman, but Mr. Bigby was no more important than Trey Hutchinson or Miss Atkins or some of these other people I told you about. And then lastly, a point I'll make is how can we look at spending $500,000 on a metal-sided building to house lawnmowers with a single bathroom at Tinsley Park and say that's the only offer we can get, and that's just how expensive things are these days? I'm sorry, but I'll go out there and I'll build you a metal-sided building for way cheaper than that, and it'll look just as good. So it's decisions like this where people are making decisions with your money, with my money, with all of these dollars that people pay into our local system. She is taking these, not she, excuse me, but collectively, these people are making decisions that do not benefit anyone within our city. My son, who's 3 years old, is not going to give a rat's behind about a $500,000 lawnmower storage house with a single bathroom at Tinsley Park. We need things like better roads. We need things like we need more schools because we're growing exponentially in this area. And we certainly need more people who are more interested in allowing the will of the people to come to pass through their positions. And I'll tell you right now, Juliana Parks doesn't represent the will of the people. She can say whatever she wants. She can call me an extremist. She can call me this, that, or the other. But the people see right to the bottom of everything that she's doing. And all of these other people in city council, Bubba Don, you've got Jeff Free, you've got, David Montgomery. All of these people are running together and taking their collective effort, making a collective effort to ensure that their will comes to pass for Bossier, not the will of the people. And that's how you counter that, is term limits.
I don't know if any of us could state it any better than that. That's awesome.
Well, Kyle, look, we can tell you firsthand. We know that the road is hard when you speak against the machine and you speak against the intellectia that is supposedly more intelligent, smarter, and that we are just supposedly this just small minority of people that don't know what the hell we're talking about. I for one appreciate your words. I appreciate you, be damned the consequences, standing up for what you believed in, saying it, and not backing down. You made no excuses, you made no apologies, and you stand by your words. Too many people don't do that. They don't stiffen their spine up and say what they believe. You did that. We need more of your type in society, not less. We need a whole lot more.
I appreciate you guys, and sorry, just one last final point of clarification. The same woman who indicated that I was a threat to Juliana indicated that she would be moving all of her funds out of the bank that I worked for. I just want to let you guys know, I think she probably has us confused with another financial institution in town. So before you make that move, I would encourage you to check where your money is at.
Oh, yeah.
So irregardless, thank you to Citizens Bank and Trust. Thank you, Adam Johnson, for the opportunity you gave me. It didn't end the way I would have liked it to, but at the end of the day, I'm a freaking red-blooded American, and I'm going to stand up for what I believe in. And thank you to the Bossier Chamber for allowing me the opportunity to support local businesses. And again, I want no ill will for any of these people involved in this situation. My goal is to just move past it and hopefully just try to give other people a little bit of courage to stand up for what they believe in. And again, I appreciate you guys and everybody who's shown me support the last couple of days. It means a lot. And, one of the things you can have the biggest impact on is your local government. Start there, because literally it just takes one person speaking up.
It does. Got to get the ball rolling.
Amen to that, Kyle. Thank you so much. And I think on behalf of everybody watching the show, I think they appreciate your courage and your service, and, keep up the fight. Look forward to seeing you in the future.
Thanks, guys. I'll be watching the rest of the evening.
All right. Thanks, Kyle.
Yes, sir.
So the first thing I'm going to say is, number one, unfortunately, we had to have Kyle on under this situation, but he makes doing the show easy.
Oh my
Just
gosh.
handing the mic, and we just kick back and put it on cruise control.
You daggum right. Holy crap. So I look, I want to go ripping this bank and I want to go ripping the Chamber of Commerce apart. But
Right.
I don't know that doing any of that serves any I don't think that I don't think I can do any better than his words and what he said. And Juliana Parks, I mean, look, there's no secret about how we feel about Juliana Parks. We think, yeah, mic drop, exactly. I mean, we think she's unfit to serve. I've said it on countless shows that her goal is to silence people at any cost. And in this gentleman's case, he's lost his job. He was serving not only in the capacity that he does in the military, but he was serving, volunteering for the chamber to make a better community. And she was able to affect getting him nixed from there as well too.
Well,
And
look, here's the difference. Kyle is on a level way up here. Juliana's on a level way down here. And
well,
that's
she is, and
evident
she's got
in what they say. Their words mean things, as our famous friend Richard Ray always reminds everybody. Listen to Juliana's words, listen to what she posts, read what she posts, and then listen to this guy that we just had on the show and go back and play it again.
but
I agree with you, dude.
go look at the people supporting Juliana, and they were a party to this. There's a lot of people that support Juliana and doing this kind of stuff, and
Well,
they
they
don't even
do,
look at the other. They don't even
but
look at the other side of the equation. They don't even consider that they could potentially be wrong.
she's in a small echo chamber. Look,
Just,
we talk
just
about
like
this. Go
Just
ahead.
like Wes Marriott, I never said this before, but when she was making the assertions, one of her about Wes and the See You Next Tuesday comment, when she was trying to railroad him and sell that story, one of the people that was one of her biggest advocates, you know what? He makes money off of the police jury. He makes money off the police jury.
Right.
I didn't
Yeah.
call him out, but he's a hypocrite.
Yeah. There is a lot I want to say, and a lot. I tell you what, I'm going to switch screens and let's go through the rest of the article and the interview or statement. I'm assuming she gave to Bossier Now, so all credit due to them. And let me get Kyle's deal here off the screen. Hold on just a second. And I want y'all to read and pay attention to this. So, all right, it may be hard to read, so I'll read it. Anyway, I'm just flustered right now because there's so much I want to light into her about. But Juliana Parks, how do I make this stop? Parks said the Chamber Commission meeting was off-putting. We sat there for 4 hours on Monday, and person after person were getting up saying different disparaging things about us that weren't true. A lot of it was rumors and just accusations without any sort of factual basis, Parks told Bossier Now. The week prior, she had attended a National Association of Counties convention seminar where the personal safety of local officials was discussed. It was the very same day that former President Donald Trump was shot. So coming out of that and seeing the crowd, the mob mentality of everybody getting angrier combined with all the stuff I learned last week at the seminar and the stuff people send me all the time, I just feel so much hatred from people that I don't even know. You don't even know me at all because what you're saying is completely wrong and yet you hate me. Marsha. Why the hell did she post it on her Facebook page, you narcissistic princess? Oh.
Look, I gotta take a deep breath because you're pissing me off just reading that stuff.
I took my blood pressure medicine this morning.
I got to stop. I I can't do any more of this. This Juliana Parks is as fake as they come. I just there. How many examples do people want? You know, she threatened me at that charter commission meeting. You know, you're
Right.
on the verge of, what did she say? Which legal term? Defamation.
Oh yeah.
Hell, and I wasn't even reading my comments. I was reading Wes's comments because, you know, their time limit, trying to prevent people from, you know, giving their words. And but the thing is Juliana, let's talk about all of the things. You know, if you want a defamation suit, then by all means get it. Let's go to court. Let's pull all of the documents. Let's pull all of the facts out. Give it your best shot. Give it your
Well,
best shot. Silence, go and try to silence the public even more. You are not what public service is about. Regardless of what you think, you are not the definition of public service. As our guest tonight said, you know, you are what's wrong with public service today. And, you know, let's talk about right now trying to force taking people's land. You know, let's talk about that. You know, that's another one that we haven't even been out there with, that the public doesn't even know about. You know, where you stood on that one. Let's talk about the Cypress district. You know, let's talk about where you were and the lack of where you were on those issues.
look,
I gotta.
I agree. So let me finish on with this little bit of a post. It's just a little bit. So why would she post the email on Facebook? My goal in doing that was just to, how do I make this stop? What can I do to make this stop? She said. What is her reaction to Schuldt's firing? Obviously, I'm horrified by that. You know, I would think that if he was a good employee and he did a good job, and the people who hired him or who were managing him thought he was doing a good job, they would say, hey, you can't do that kind of thing. I definitely did not condone that or incite it or anything. I don't like that. I don't like it at all. Give me a almost threw
Yeah,
an F
yeah,
bomb out there.
well,
Give me a freaking break.
yeah, well, Juliana and all of her friends that were, y'all did it. Y'all collectively, because of you, you know, and you can say because of him, because he voiced his opinion that opposed your opinion, he lost his job and he lost his ability to volunteer. And at the same time, none of you, not a single one of you hypocrites, gave him credit for being a person who has served overseas in the military and fought for your right to be able to silence and take away his constitutional right. And to the Bossier Chamber of Commerce, I mean,
I want to point out a distinct difference here. I want to do one.
what Bossier Chamber of Commerce? Tell me about your board chairman.
Yeah, where you
Tell
at,
me
Lisa?
about tell me about your board
Bring it.
chairman. If what this man, by privately, you know, voicing his opinion about the job that a public official in this parish had done, do you think it's appropriate for your board chairman to be in the middle of lawsuits? And go look up the Shreveport airport. Go look up. People, all these people want to criticize and say, oh, we're going to become like Shreveport. Well, you drug some of Shreveport's problems over here. And this guy speaks the truth, and you're going to axe him while you've got a guy who's in the middle of all the lawsuits and drama with the airport and all that out there. You drag him over here to be the chairman of the board of the Bossier Chamber. I mean, the hypocrisy here just knows no levels.
Oh, our rule is we call people out when there's a political tie-in. Don't forget that, Lisa. So I want to show a stark difference right here. I want everybody to review the last sentence that Juliana put right here at this. I'll read it again in the non-whiny voice. I definitely did not condone that or incite it or anything. I don't like that. I don't like it at all, Parks added. In other words, She didn't do it. It wasn't her. It wasn't her. She didn't do it. Now, contrast that to, let me put up the quote from Kyle.
If she freaking can't take criticism as a politician and she can't accept that people don't agree with you, she does not need to be a politician. She is unfit to serve. It comes with the territory. I don't agree with my wife. I don't agree with my kids. I don't agree with my damn dog. But as a politician, you think that automatically everybody mandatorily has to agree with you? If that's what you think, and then if you can't affect that by force, I mean, she's got to go.
Contrast Juliana's last statement to what Kyle's statement is here. He says, I have a great support system. You know, my wife and I are on the same page. The people that love and care for me are on the same page with me. And, you know, I feel like sometimes there's costs associated with speaking out for things you believe in, but I'm not afraid of those costs. That's the whole difference right there. She's a narcissistic little princess who unfortunately is a public servant or wouldn't really care about her at all, but she always has to make it about her and play that damn victim. I'm going to make her a victim card.
Look, here's I'm going to contrast it. He is a real American, and she is nothing more than a fake wannabe leech, a leech sucking the blood out of our country and our society. That's what she is. That's what she is. She is feeding off of all of us and deceiving a lot of us. That's what she's doing. To say that, oh, everybody else's best, all the citizens, their best interest is what's priority to her. No, it's not. What's priority to her is the perpetuation of her career and her moving up the ladder. I mean, and she wants to be a judge. That's what I'm told. She wants to be a judge.
Yeah,
It is an embarrassment, Holly Cole.
It is. And Charles Brumley says, get her on the show. She has an open invitation, Charles. She has both of her phone numbers. It's not a problem. She can bring it any time she wants.
But look, we can sit up here and, you know, we've said for weeks, they call us liars. They say everything, she threatens us with defamation, that everything we're liars. But I mean, what does it take for people to see? We have said endlessly that she seeks to silence people. She just proved through her actions by silencing Mr. Schuldt. She took away his job. He has a pregnant wife, a young child, and this guy has made more sacrifice than Juliana Parks will ever. Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry. What women's commission or she's out there doing some of her service organization. I guess that supersedes this man go into a foreign country to defend her right to sit back here and cut people who are trying to do the right thing. I mean, I got to stop because I'm so mad I can't even articulate a good sentence here.
Yeah, that's about where I'm getting to. So, all right,
I just need to stop. I got to stop.
I got a couple more things that I want to share out real quick, and we'll start wrapping up the show.
I want you to end the show showing Kyle Schult's LinkedIn. The only social media this dude does is on LinkedIn, and I went and found it. I mean, I've never spoke to this man until just a while ago coming on this show, and his comments on his LinkedIn post are, I think, just like the topping on the cake. But go ahead.
All right, so y'all stick around for just a few more minutes because I want to share a couple of screenshots of some information we got. We're getting off the Juliana bandwagon for a few minutes before our blood pressure goes through the roof. And I want to share, and then we're going to close out with Kyle, but I want to share a letter that we got in to Bossier Watch. This came in anonymously. Says, Montgomery ordered a salary survey for Bossier IT department. Ted Hamilton, the city consultant, was compensated for doing the study, and the study was completed. Yet the results were never made public, much less acknowledged by the council. And I know fire and police are important, but what about the rest of us? We have people working key positions who must rely on government assistance for different things. None of us work at City Hall to become rich. We work there because we love our city. I just hate to see it. A mass turnover in tax, water billing, IT, and many, many other departments because we can no longer afford to serve our city. I just wanted to voice this, believing that this is the news source. I would take issue with news source that provides voices to the voiceless. And trust me, you have believers at City Hall. Thank you for that letter.
Thank you. Yeah.
And
thank
now we
you.
have something else to dig into. Anybody know about a salary survey for other departments ordered by Queen David himself? Because I just can't bring myself to call him King David. And then one more letter. So let me do this here. Again, this is kind of from the rumor mill, but might be something to it. We need to look into it. Got this one anonymously too. Says, I have 2 items. I would like you to discuss why Nichols Oil Change, seems like we've talked about that before a little bit or mentioned it, was purchased for millions of dollars, but the only thing that happened was a new driveway from Benton Road. Was this property needed? Was this a good old boy deal? The second item is about a new employer in Bossier. The company was looking for 1,000 or more. The company was an automotive supplier that was going to produce chips and batteries for electric cars. They saw what was going on with the Bossier City Council and the police jury. By the way, the company was looking for the land outside the city limits. Only a few individuals, 3 to 4, were aware of this. State was not involved. A couple of people who were not supposed to know about this project contacted the representative of this company and made it clear that these individuals would make or break the project going through in an expedited way. For buying their products or services, including insurance. Now, we don't know this for a fact. We're just asking.
That's just shocks me to death. I mean, it almost sounds like the Link Coleman deal. It sounds eerily similar.
Yeah, I mean, where there's smoke, there might be fire, especially if you keep getting the same smoke. Says, hopefully you will both discuss both items on your show. And guess what? We did. So, let's, I agree with you. I think the best way to do this is to share out his LinkedIn post. So I'm gonna read this, and then we're gonna close out the show. So thank everybody. We're 150 to 170, 180 people at sometimes. Lots of great comments. If y'all want to know how to reach out to Kyle to help him, or even just to give him kudos, he doesn't have a Facebook account. His wife does. So look her up, send her a private message. Sometimes just words of encouragement help. If you want to help him in some other way and can't get a hold of him, message us and we'll try to put y'all in touch.
And guys, look, here is a guy. We say it all the time that we are a minority of people, and Kyle said it better than anybody. I will do nothing but butcher his words. I mean, he should be doing this show, not me. But Kyle said it just takes one person. It takes just one person to step up and say something. This guy, he stepped up for what he believed in and sacrificed his job. What about you?
Yeah. And didn't back down from it and owned it. He didn't come on the show asking for a handout or asking for his job back or any such nonsense. He completely owned it and took responsibility for it. I mean, that's refreshing.
That is courage, and that's an American right there.
Absolutely. And this post right here, I'm so glad you saw this, Duke. This post right here was made about 26 minutes before the show. It says, hello, LinkedIn family. Today, I'm excited to announce that I am looking for work. What's the background? Well, I was let go yesterday from my job. Why? Because I privately expressed an opinion to a local elected official. It was a private, stern criticism of the elected official, and I did not know she would publish the email in an attempt to belittle viewpoint of her constituents, as she has done many times to her local citizens and veterans publicly and on the record. Within 4 hours of that email being posted to her private Facebook page, I was relieved from my duties as a leader within the Bossier Chamber of Commerce diplomats, and then I was fired from my job. Benton politics is at play here and ultimately has cost me my job. Hold on. When my wife is due with our baby in 3 months. Many may say you should just be quiet and keep your head down because you have a family to support. I say wrong. Weak men say nothing and watch the country they love slip away. There's always cost for our actions, but you must decide what cost you're willing to pay to fight for what you believe in. Am I sad? No. Do I want revenge? No. I want people to see that there is still a very small core group of people attempting to control our futures within this community, and it's not a future we will all benefit from. So if you're afraid to hire a hardworking individual let me rephrase that. So if you're not afraid to hire a hardworking individual that is also passionate about our rights, give me a shout. Kyle Schuldt.
I have a good night.
Yeah, we're out of here, folks. Appreciate you watching. Share, like, tag folks. Encourage them to come watch. We'll be back Tuesday night.
Thank Juliana.
Yeah, she blessed y'all with a show on Thursday night, if you consider it a blessing.